Evening, Daz.
Hi Harry, you right?
Good, you?
Yeah, good. Yeah, not too bad. Hear me right?
Yeah, all loud and clear, mate.
Lovely stuff. Lovely. Where's Russ then?
No idea. Hopefully he's coming.
Yeah, hopefully. Yeah, we'll give him a bit of time and then we'll get started. We'll see when he gets here. Should be a signal. I think here he
Here
is.
he is.
Better late than never.
We'll let him off. It's only 1 minute.
Yeah. There you go. And co-host. Sorted.
Sorry, boys. I had my son not shutting up.
It's all right, mate. So as you said, it's only a minute. It's fine.
All good?
Yeah, all good. Yeah. We can get started. And if you guys fancy starting now.
Yep, ready when you are.
Go
Yeah,
ahead.
good. Oh, lovely. Hi to Andy and Joanna, by the way. Welcome. Um, I suppose since we last spoke on here, 2 weeks ago, we've got 2 points from two games. There's been one red card, two Sadie goals, which I don't think many of us saw coming, and five incoming transfers as we stand. So obviously, as soon as Jed Wallace signs on the line, we can add him to the list as well. But yeah, so for anyone listening, what we're going to do is obviously have our Luton review, followed by the Middlesbrough review, bit of transfer news, going over the five incomings, and then Sunderland preview and our predictions. And at the end of it, if we've got any time, we'll do any other business. But yeah, so I guess let's get going with the Luton review, shall we? Russ, did you want to start with the Luton review?
Yeah, I'm happy to. It was one of them, I thought, again, similar to the first game against Leeds. Sort of first 10, 15 minutes have kind of felt like, this is going to be a bit of a long game, backs against the wall sort of job. But after that sort of settling period, I thought we went on to control the game. And then obviously you had the mad 2-3 minutes from I forget his name, but from the Luton goalkeeper, where you got, obviously I'd like to know what you guys think. I still think it was actually harsh he got the yellow card and not the centre back.
Kaminsky's his name.
Right. Yeah.
The only reason I think he could possibly have got it is he'd already warned him before. And is it because he's the goalkeeper, it's technically his duty to take it? I don't know whether that's a thing or not. That's what crossed my mind. Or he probably thought, the keeper's probably going to get booked once. If I book him once, he's less likely to get sent off. Whereas if I book Mengi, then he could be sent off. But the referee probably didn't think that Kaminsky would just come out and wipe out two players in another mad moment.
Well, yeah, no, I don't think any of us expected it, but I think the yellow card definitely went to his head, didn't it? It definitely wound him up. And he was even pointing at the defenders if to say, you should be booking him, not me. I mean, and then, he could have got red carded just for the two tackles he made on, I can't remember who the first one was, but and the second one was on Ogilvie, wasn't it? Was it on Lang, the first one?
Paddy Lane.
Oh, yes, it was on Paddy Lane, and then he took out Ogilvie, and he could have got 2 yellows just for that alone, especially the one on Ogilvie. Didn't even get anywhere near the ball.
Man, just folded him in the end.
Yeah, and then their defence was all over the place until half time. I felt like we really needed to capitalise on that before half time, because then second half I thought they just settled Luton. Their Mengi is just an unbelievable player, in my opinion. I'm surprised no Premier League clubs have looked at him. He's just fast, powerful, good in the air. I could see why. So before the game, we didn't start Sorensen up front. My first thought was, I don't understand that. Why we go on with Sadie, but then the battle with him and with Sadie and Mengi, I actually could understand why Mousinho went with Sadie. and I thought Sadie did a fantastic job. Caused Mengi loads of troubles. But I remember one moment in the second half, shot Nessie put this incredible ball through to Sorensen. It looked like he was going to be through on goal, and that Mengi just come from absolutely nowhere, hacked up and took the ball off him. Defensively, I was expecting goals. I think we all predicted goals in that game. But I was the only one that got the right outcome, I'd like to point out. But yeah, I came away feeling like I didn't know if I was annoyed, satisfied. I didn't know if I was happy because it was a bit like all three games so far would have snatched your hand off for a point, but then there's a bit of you that goes, oh, maybe we should have got the win there. I don't know what you guys think.
Yeah, I think it's a bit of an ongoing thing, isn't it? These three games where, I mean, if you take it like at the very start of the season before we even kicked the ball, and you told me we get 3 points at these three games, I think everyone would like bite your hands off for it. But then looking back on it, still happy with the 3 points that we've got, but it feels like we could have got more. And if anything, I don't see that as a negative as such. I see it quite as a positive because it shows that if we're sort of in that mind frame now after these first three games where we think we could have got more, it shows like sort of how well we've done so far. And I know obviously at Leeds and Borough we've rode our luck a few times, well more than a few times. It's still really positive to come out there thinking we could have got more. Harry, I don't know. What was your thoughts on the game?
Yeah, it was quite similar. As Russ said, it was quite similar to the Leeds game at the beginning. It was kind of like, you could really see, they played in the Premier League, and 10 out of the 11 starters that they had actually played in the Premier League or started in the Premier League last season for them. So they've got a Premier League squad come down into the Championship, and we're having to. You've kind of got a League One squad versus a team versus a Premier League team, and it's almost kind of like a cup game as such. You've very much got an underdog and a definite favourite. It's not like a closer game like when we play Sunderland this Saturday. Sunderland's are still favourite, but it's not as a bigger gap. So it was very much a difficult game to take. And I think, as you said before, the game, the fact that we've got 3 points from three games from Middlesbrough away, Leeds away, and Luton at home, I think we would have all taken those 3 points before the game when the season started. But from each game, you can each kind of say, "Oh, mate, we could have won those," especially Middlesbrough and Leeds, where we led right until into the 90s, into the 90th minute. But probably both games, Leeds and Middlesbrough, really deserved something from them because, especially Middlesbrough, I mean, they had over 20 shots to our 7. You could say that they were definitely deserving of something. But towards the end, they kind of. Sorry, I'm going on to the Middlesbrough game, but they looked like they were losing confidence if they really didn't know what to do. But the Luton game, it was kind of difficult because Luton are so used, especially in the Premier League, where they were the lesser team in that league, they were so used to sitting behind and having 10, 11 men behind the ball, especially against the bigger teams like City, Liverpool, United, Chelsea, Spurs, whatever. They were so used to sitting back and defending and kind of counter-attacking that way anyway. They immediately went into that shell and that style of play, and they were because they did it all season for 30 odd games last year. They were already set for what they were going to do this year. So, it was frustrating that we couldn't manage to score against 10 men, but they made it very difficult for us and nullified that attack that we had. And as Russ said, the Mengi is unreal. He was probably the first person I've actually seen that Sadie struggled against. And I think Sadie struggled at the beginning. I think it probably woke him up and he thought, "Oh shit, I've actually got someone that I can't necessarily always win against." But as the game get on, he got used to Mengi and he actually did a lot better.
Did you really think that was a penalty in the first half? I was right behind it. To me, it looked like a clear penalty, and watching it back, it still does.
Yeah, for me, yeah, it was clear cut. It was bang on. I tell you what, if that red card never happened, he's given that penalty without a shadow of a doubt. I can't remember. It was very like a short period of time between the sending off and the penalty shout. I can't remember how long it was.
I think it was just literally we had the free kick. It went out for a corner, and then it come from that, I believe.
Yeah, there you go. The I don't think the ref had it in him, and that's the unfortunate. You'd think with our crowd as well, we might be able to get it, but I suppose with some of these championship refs, they might be a bit stronger, won't necessarily give it on a lot of shouts. But I think if that sending off hadn't happened so soon, he's given that penalty 100% for me. But yeah, for me, it's clear cut, 100%. Harry, I don't know your thoughts, mate, on that.
Yeah, I couldn't, from where I was, I couldn't, I followed the ball. So where I sat in the south stand, I couldn't really see anything clear. And you can normally tell whether it's going to be, whether there is something in it or not by the way the players appeal. And you could see there was probably 5 or 6 players turned around from the penalty box and looked towards the ref going, come on then, like, where's the penalty? And if it wasn't anything, they'd have just got up and walked and gone back and walks off, which is what they'd normally do. So the fact that you had such a reaction from the players normally indicates what it is. And it was only when I saw the replay once I was home from the above one that they've just put in the Fratton end. It was only once I saw that I realised, yes, it was a penalty, because I actually couldn't tell from where I was sat for like when I saw it in person.
Yeah, that's always a giveaway for me, to be honest, when that amount of players, whether it be obviously Pompey players or wherever, when they appeal that much passion, hands up in the air, chasing after the ref and all that lot, that usually tells me like everyone's convinced. And I know players like to cheat a little bit and get this, that, and the other, but usually when that amount of players give it that much to the ref, it sort of tells me that it's a penalty. So yeah, like absolutely spot on for me. Obviously, I know Luton didn't want to go down to 10 men. No one wants to go down to 10 men. But do you think out of the two teams, they were the most set up to be able to deal with going down to 10 men? Russ?
Initially, no, they looked all like, as I think I said earlier, they were all over the place once their red card happened, and we had quite a lot of good chances, and I felt that was the time to take it. Once half time happened, you could tell they sort of reset, got some more instructions, and they definitely sorted themselves out. But that 20 minutes of the second part of the first half, they were all over the place, in my opinion.
I think some of it was to do with the fact that they were so surprised. Well, I was surprised that it was Carlton Morris that came off. You know, he's your club captain, and I felt like he would have done. I suppose Adebayo is your big boy up front, and he can deal with the physicality. He's more physical to hold the ball up for when you can counter attack. But I was expecting it to be Adebayo that went off rather than Morris, so maybe they were a bit shocked about that, because taking your club captain off is quite a big risk and a big decision for the manager to make. I mean, maybe they talked about that before. If someone gets sent off, it'll be he knows it's him that's coming off. But it definitely surprised me that you're taking off such a big leader in that group, and you're bringing on the keeper for him. Maybe they were kind of looking around for a leader, and then it took them till half time to be able to get that. Rob Edwards then got his message across and was able to sort it out from there.
Yeah, I thought when they did take Morris off again, I was actually quite surprised about that. I felt like they were happy to just sit back and try and nick it. Where, if you think about it, their players, they're all like top end championship, and a few would obviously be in and around the Premier League. Probably a few will be going by the end of this window. I think they are probably the best to set up if they were down to 10, because probably last season they would have had to be so defensive, and when you're playing against the like Man City, Liverpool, it probably feels like you're down to 10 men anyway. It's all about sitting in and then seeing if you could nick something. Obviously, they've got quite a bit of pace. I think Benny's, who's gone now to Ipswich, I believe. So maybe they were hoping they could find their ways down the sides and then get the ball in. And the big lad up front, obviously, is pretty good in the air. I was quite impressed with their Doherty, who plays for them on the left wing. I thought he was still an outlet for him and quite dangerous. So I want to go into sort of our sort of threats. And I know Silvera got a bit of stick after the game. I didn't really understand it completely. But I did see on social media after the game he was getting a bit of stick. And Russ, you're probably the best person to ask about it straight away, because obviously you did your play review on him. And I remember when I watched the play review, I thought actually he played a lot better than I thought, and I didn't think he had a bad game anyway. I don't know what your thoughts on after seeing his play review.
First half, I thought he had a really good half. I thought at the time as well. The only thing that was frustrating me at the time and watching it back, he never once went down the wing to cross it in. He always wanted to cut in. And I felt like that's what hampered him in the second half. They just knew all they had to do was double up on him. And every time he tried to cut in, they just took the ball off him. His touch is unbelievable. He's one of the best touches I've seen at Pompey for a long time. A couple of packs passes from 40 yards, 50 yards, and he just stopped it dead, like it was nothing. Lightning, fast, strong. Funny thing is, I was talking to Alexander Robertson's dad about him when we signed him, Mark, and what he said so far is pretty much bang on. He said you got yourself a fast player, strong, athletic, but end product needs to improve, and I think that's proven. He had 3 shots on target, only one. You would say he brought the keeper to make a decent save. The other 2 are at him. He hasn't got a left foot, in my opinion. His 2 best crosses of the game were on the outside of his right foot. All the other crosses were awful. So he's someone that I think if Moutinho can get the better of him, of his end product, he could be a real talented player. But for me, when Murphy's back, he starts ahead of him.
I don't think it's as clear cut as Murphy comes straight back in, to be honest. I think you look at the start that Abu Kamara had, it was quite slow to start off with, and it took a couple of games for him to kind of get ticking. And I think it'll be the same for Silvera, maybe not to the same impact of as the amount of output in goals and assists. But I think he's had a confident start to his Pompey career. I was really impressed with the way he was happy to take on his man. Yes, a lot of the time he did cut in onto his stronger right foot, but he didn't really turn back too many times. A lot of the times, previous wingers, you think of someone like Ryan Williams or Owen Dale, they had the ability to beat the man as well, but they would always end up cutting back and passing it back. But he was happy Silvera was happy to take on the man and actually beat him. And I thought Ogbene was kind of too far up. It was more their right. Was it Walters? I think was their right centre half. I thought Silvera had the better of him, especially in the first half. But Silvera's performance did go a couple of times. But even in the second half, you had that moment where he put the ball in across the floor for Sadie, and Sadie decided to leave it for Lang. Whether he heard a call or not, but you think, Sadie just nicked his foot onto that. It would have probably gone on target, and if it goes on target, you've got a good chance of it going in. So I think it's
made that mistake on Saturday against Middlesbrough, did he?
No, definitely not. But I think it's a promising start. Yes, it would be nice as long as he can get the output starting sooner rather than later, because you don't want him to have to perform like 10, 15 games without getting an assist or a goal or having that output kick starting. Because if you're having him kind of stagnating and he's getting he's beating the man, but then he's not doing anything with it, then we're going to start getting into the Owen Dale territory, and I don't want to go that way. But I think it's a promising start, and it will definitely keep Murphy on his toes when he's back fit.
Yeah, as I say, if he improves that end product, we got a player. That's for sure.
Yeah, definitely. And a thing was like Silvera, I think he needs, because of his pace and stuff like that as well. I think he does need a little bit of space to go into, and especially in the second half, Luton down to 10 men, they're not going to give you that space, and especially their back line, they're all big boys, they're fast and everything like that. And as Harry said earlier about Sadie, where he was actually sort of out-muscled quite a few times. I thought Sadie had a really good game, obviously apart from the effort that came across the box, which I think if he guys were saying, if I think he scores, if he gets on target. But yeah, obviously the same with Sadie, for example. I felt that he, like, when you're coming up against the likes of that Mengi and things like that, you've got a player that's not only just big and strong, but he's absolutely rapid as well. So I think it was always going to be tough for us when they went down to 10 men, because I think they'd be more than happy to sit in and see it out and then see if they could nick something. Like, do you think the sending off was a positive or a negative for us? Do you think we did enough? Harry, I hear your views on this one. Do you think we did enough to get 3 points? No, we didn't get it, but do you think we did enough when they went down to 10 men?
I think in the first half, it kind of, obviously you always think, 10 men, oh yeah, it'd be brilliant. I felt like our momentum was just because Luton started off so well in the first half, similar to what Leeds did, and then we found our feet and we started to kick on, and we just started to tick and get things going. And having Lane made that run a few times, and he wasn't found, and he kept persisting for a while, and after a while he did give up. But that's how that sending off happened. But our momentum had just started to build up, and then because Luton have changed because of the red card, because they've then dropped, I felt like it killed our bit of our momentum, because then, as you said, you've got 10 men behind the ball and they're just sitting back and in a low block and defending. You've then got, where you're winning Lane and Silvera, you haven't got the space for them to be able to run at their man, because the man is already almost on the edge of the penalty box already. So maybe it's hard to tell what would have happened and what would have been better, to be honest. But it was frustrating. We didn't, because you always feel if you don't end up winning against 10 men, it's frustrating that you haven't won. But at least we weren't, it wasn't like a Coventry game under Kenny Jackett where you're 3-1 up against 9 men and it finishes 3-3. It's not kind of, that is, you are fuming with that. We discussed it the other day. You're absolutely livid at that result. But here you draw against 10 men against a difficult opposition. As we said before, you'd absolutely take it.
Yeah, Russ, what's your thoughts on that?
No, I agree. As I said earlier, I felt like we had to get that goal in the first half. They reset, they settled, and it was kind of a slower pace. I thought the first half was an excellent game to watch as a neutral, and then the second half was just a bit more of a slower affair. Less chances for both teams. I don't think they even had a decent chance in the second half, Luton. We had like the odd huffs and puffs. Things where, I think Ogilvie headed it back and there could have been a chance, and you had the Moxon shot that was the ball had already gone. But yeah, no, it definitely was a time to get that killer goal in the first half when they felt like they were a bit panicky.
What did you guys think of the atmosphere? Because the build up to the game and, with the fireworks, that was a bit of a surprise, but it was a nice touch to do for your first home game back in the Championship. The first half, The crowd were up for it. I think the players were up for it. It was a really, as you say, that helps the game of football. It was a great game of football. The crowd were in, the Luton fans were in, and then second half, it was a complete opposite end of the spectrum. It was kind of just the atmosphere just felt dead. It was kind of like I don't know whether it was nerves or what, but there was no real cheer, and I think that probably had a bit of an impact on the players. So they know they're up against a tough task of having such a low block to play
I
against.
think the issue with that was swapping halves. I think if we were attacking the Fratton end, 10 men against 10 men, you would have had a bit more of a crowd. We ended the season with more Pompey fans in the Milton end than the away fans. So it didn't matter what end you're attacking. It kind of felt like you were attacking your own fans. Second half, and all you can look up is seeing a load of orange shirts in the crowd, and then there's a small section of Pompey shirts. We're all Pompey, for as long as I've been following them, have always been more of a second half team at home because of the attack in the Fratton end. I do think that made a massive difference.
That's something so I think that's something what a lot of teams try and do, isn't it? If they win the toss, or we might win the kick, but they choose the end. A lot of them do change it.
Well, we went through that weird period under Clark Robinson where the point where I put a joke on Twitter and he actually DM'd me thinking I was being serious, where I was like, are you doing this on purpose for Robinson? Because I think we went about 5 home games shooting the wrong way. And he actually said, no, I just generally have been lost every single toss. So, getting the teams, if they can swap it round and get the second half away from attacking the Fratton end, to a lot of them, that's like almost like mind game. That could be a good chance of getting a point or even a win. I used to hate it when we used to swap last season. It did, as I said, it didn't matter because there were so many Pompey fans in the Milton end. We're not going to get that in the Championship now.
Yeah, no, I think the atmosphere definitely could have been better. It's not the worst I've heard it. I thought it was good in parts, as you said at the start, where everyone's obviously buzzing, especially after the Leeds result and things like that. So, and the fireworks and that lot kicking us off. But obviously, I think once, especially in the second half, as you said, us kicking towards the Milton end, we haven't got Pompey fans really behind there. We've got a few, but it's mainly Luton. And then obviously the way Luton were going to set up in that second half just to frustrate and things like that. I mean, if we could have got an early goal, maybe a goal in the first half or an early goal in the second half, that would have made Luton, they had to come out to at least get a point. And then maybe the atmosphere builds in that way where we sort of maybe get a few more opportunities. But yeah, I think the atmosphere could have been better. I think obviously it's going to have to be really good on what's day? Yeah, Saturday. Because obviously, as we'll talk about later, Sunderland obviously a very good side. Their fans are pretty good when they come down, so we're going to have to really create a good atmosphere to get behind the players. I don't know if you guys heard Rob Edwards' comments after the game, talking about obviously the time wasting and the sending off. Obviously, I don't know. Did either of you guys hear his comments about that?
Yeah, I thought it was a bit odd because they clearly were time wasting. It was just baffling to see, a team. That was probably the last thing I expected from Luton was to do all the time wasting that they done. But also, I don't know if I'm thinking this right or this might have been last season where they're trying to clamp down. It's one of the things, you'll see it till the end of September and then the referees will forget about it, about trying to clamp down on goalkeepers taking too long. I've seen it a few times in other games already, goalies getting yellow cards quite early in games.
Yeah, well, that was the thing last season, wasn't it? They for the start of the season, they were adding on half an hour after the end of every game, and then realised they were doing it wrong, and they added too much time. So I'm guessing it'll be something similar to this season. Harry, what was your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I thought it was a bit weird. I kind of expected a bit better from Rob Edwards, to be honest. He's not that kind of manager that he's not a Derek Adams, a Steve Evans that just throws his toys out of the pram and has a little cry every time he doesn't get what he wants. He's normally quite a good pragmatic manager and is normally quite honest. So for him to come out and say that did surprise me a bit. But I mean, it's obvious it's part of their tactics. He says it's come from me, but well, yeah, but if it's clearly part of your tactics, you've come out to say when we can, let's slow the play down because the crowd will get the fans up for it. We'll try and shut that down when we can. He's did that, and the keeper's followed it, and then he's moaned about it. You can't have it both ways. You either haven't told the keeper, and the keeper's done it off his own back, but you've come out and said we were trying to do this, but then you can't then moan when you're then punished for it. It was a bit of a crybaby moment, to be honest. It was kind of like he'd been watching Steve Evans too much.
Yeah, that's it. I can understand what he was kind of trying to say because we kind of do it. Like you obviously know that thing now where the centre back has the ball and he rolls it to the keeper and then we hold it because we kind of do it, but they were doing it so slowly. It wasn't like as in they were doing it the way we do it. They were taking a lifetime, and I think the good thing about them in the first half, obviously with the keeper at the Fratton end, was that we were able to get on the back straight away. Everyone booing every time they did it. It got like louder and louder. So yeah, I think obviously Rob Edwards is just trying to like protect himself there and like probably his players. But yeah, I just think when they were doing it, they were just taking too long to do it. They were taking ages. I think felt like a minute at a time. And then obviously the sending off when he got his red card. I mean, he could have been sent off for those two tackles alone because they're both yellow card offences, and it would have been interesting to see if that had happened if he hadn't got booked for the time wasting, whether he would have got two yellow cards for those tackles on Lane and then on Ogilvie, because even the one on Ogilvie, I don't think he's left the floor like that much, just going up for a header himself. So the keeper absolutely took him out. But yeah, have any of you guys got anything else you want to input about the Luton game that we haven't talked about?
No. Well, a little thing. I don't get why the goalie come out, because of the fact of Lane weren't going anywhere. It weren't like he was through on goal. He was going diagonally away from goal. Mengi's going to catch him. Do you know what I mean? He had to still been fuming from the yellow card. That's my only thoughts.
I think that must have had an impact on his decision to maybe think, oh, I'm going to try and make up for it, or just kind of a bit of a rush of the blood moment. And without that first challenge on Lane, I don't think he then challenges Ogilvie. I think he kind of went, I've screwed this up when he took out Lane. I might as well just go full hog and just wipe out Ogilvie for the fun of it, because I think he knew he was probably already gone as soon as he'd missed that, and Lane had just picked him to the ball and just got there in front of him. He probably knew he was gone anyway, so he thought, I might as well just go and clean out Ogilvie as well. Which could have technically, I suppose, the Ogilvie one itself could have been a red card, because that could have been endangering an opponent, because it was so reckless. And the fact he managed to make Ogilvie fold in half and do a front flip, that could have been a red card in itself. So either way, whether the keeper was booked for the time wasting or if it ended up being Mengi, if the same situation happened, which doesn't always work, but he would have still been off the pitch anyway. So I don't know. Rob Edwards wouldn't have really had much to worry about, to moan about, rather.
Yeah, I think with the keeper flying out there is a perfect example of a head loss, isn't it? Like just going, he's done one and then he's done the other. I think like that shit just happens sometimes where you sort of lost control of your body and you go gung ho and you just don't realise what you're doing, and I think that's a prime example for him. And you could see straight away. I don't even know. He tried to argue it a little bit, but I think he was always going to go. And he did, and he walked off relatively quickly, didn't he? So I'm guessing he knew what was coming. So right, yeah. So I think that's good for the Luton review. I suppose let's move on to the next game. Another draw, 2-2 draw against Middlesbrough away. Harry, do you want to kick us off for this one?
Yeah, it was. Again, it was kind of because of the calibre of the teams we're coming up against. All of the games kind of started quite similar. So the Leeds game as well, like the way that Carrick plays is, he likes to keep the ball and have possession, and they were dominating the game that first half. They had quite a bit of possession throughout the whole game, but again, they didn't really do a lot with it, to be honest. And I'll come back to our goal in a minute. They just kind of what we did at times last season. There were first couple of games, that Fleetwood game where we drew at home, and Bristol Rovers, we kind of had like 65-70% of the ball, but we didn't. It's all very well having that. It's all, oh, look at us, we got 65%, but they didn't have that clinical pass. Or like, I didn't think Finn Azaz had a very good game. He wasn't very impactful, which surprises me, because from when he played at Plymouth, he was such an impactful player in that 10. And I thought that Towler did really well up against Latilaf. I thought he kept him quite quiet. I know he had that one chance that he ended up putting wide, very similar to Aronson, where he was through one-on-one and somehow he's put it wide. But it was we just took very few chances. It was almost a carbon copy to the Leeds game. We had very few chances, but we took what we got given. You can't say anything wrong with that. We're not going to sit there and have 65% of the ball this time. Now we're moving up. We're now the smaller teams in this league, at least for the next season or two, as long as we stay up. So that first goal, it all came against moving Sadie up front rather than as the 10, because I think we all thought it would be Sorensen up front, Lang on the left, or Lane on the left, and Sadie as the 10. But I think it clearly was the right move to put Sadie up top, and because Sorensen has played on the left for Esberg, so I think it was worked well. Sadie is the physical player to hold it up. It kind of reminded me of a Colby Bishop goal, because he did the Bishop of holding up the ball, managed to pass it on, and then get into the box ready for the cross to come in. So yeah, it was good. It was a good start, and obviously their second goal, just calamitous, really. Whether the keeper called for it or didn't, as long as you do what Sadie did and you're there to finish, tidy up the pieces, then you're not complaining.
Yeah, Russ, you got any thoughts on especially the first half anyway?
Yeah, I thought we played really well, especially the first half, and I agree with Harry about Towler's performance, and I'm really struggling to see the sort of backlash he's still getting. People, saying he's not good enough, and he's gone up against 3 teams that are top 6 contenders, or in betting wise to go up, 2 of the favourites. And other than the first 10-15 minutes against Luton with Leeds, which they all looked out of depth, they were. He was absolutely fine for me. I thought he played really well. I was really baffled to see after the game people moaning about him. And I just thought, and I replied to someone, I thought, well, if you don't think Towler's championship quality, then you must think the whole of Middlesbrough's defence isn't championship quality, because I thought they were absolutely awful. Might be the worst I've ever seen Matt Clark play, let alone I know he scored, but I thought their whole back four was shocking.
Yeah, I mean, they were similar to us. They were playing.
They had a few injuries, didn't they? Yeah.
They had Luke Ayling at centre half, so they had a right back at centre back like we did. But going forward, it was kind of, there's that meme that someone put together, like the Ferrari at the front and then like a kid's drawn donkey at the back. That was kind of what Middlesbrough were, because going forward they had some good players and they looked really strong, like on the attack, and it was like that's how we did really well to hold off for that long. But then at the back they just looked all at sea. Well, hence the second goal that we scored. They didn't look confident. There was clearly people missing, but you could tell a lot more from that. But going back quickly to Towler, I thought the more he's played, I think the Leeds game, It was the quality of Leeds that everyone else suffered with as well. But I think it's just the match minutes. He only played, 4 games last year? So the more he's playing, every game so far, he's got better and better and better because he's playing more and more. So I don't see the issue with him, really.
I think the thing with Towler, because obviously towards the end of obviously when he came in January, and that half of the season, everyone loved him, and I think he was really popular. And I think in some people's eyes, after the Bristol Rovers game, they thought that was it. He was not good enough. Even though he did, again, as you said, Harry, didn't play a lot of minutes, but did come in certain games, like against where at Fleetwood, and did really well. Because it's not easy, especially as a defender, to come in when you haven't played for a while and you're playing up against players of front line, no matter if they're Fleetwood or if they're Leeds United. If they've been playing all season, match sharpness and everything like that is going to be so much more above what yours is. You can do as much as you want in training, but when you actually step onto the pitch, it's a total different ball game. So yeah, I think that for me, I think that's where the sort of stick Towler gets from, and I think it's totally unfair. And there was also, I think someone, I can't remember who it was, but I saw someone mention Lane and say, is he good enough for this level? I think especially with the players that haven't played in the Championship, you have to give them at least 15, 20 games to know whether or no they are good or good enough. Especially the players that did so well for us last season, like Lane. It's a steep learning curve, and it's like being Everest, considering we've had Leeds, Luton, and Middlesbrough. So the fact that we've come out and maybe one or two players don't look like they're at it yet, I think we definitely have to give those players a bit of time, and the same with Towler. I suppose see how the end of the transfer window goes, whether someone else is going to come in and maybe take his spot or not. We don't know, but yeah, I do think
you're right with Paddy Lane though. It's all these players. It's going to take time. You know what I mean? It's going to take time. If anyone's expecting all the players that come up to hit it off from the front, then I don't understand what they were expecting. And it's not. And also, I must say, it is a few. The majority very level-headed. But I just think there's some people it's almost like every year we've got to pick on a player. At the moment, it's Lane and Towler and Silvera. Norris was getting it, and what a performance by Norris, by the way, outstanding. He's my player watch. I'm going to finish editing that tonight. Should be out tomorrow. You know, and I just don't get why we can't just give these players a chance. I mean, even a season. It might take Lane half a season to get firing again, but it doesn't all suddenly make him a shit player overnight. You know what I mean? It just baffles me. Like, what do some of these fans expect? Do you know what I mean? And also, I prefer Lane on the left anyway. I don't really like him on the right, but I think he's definitely going to be our right mid this season, or one of, depending if Richie gets up to speed. Because at the moment, I'm not so sure on that. But yeah, some of the comments, I just think we got 3 draws against. And possibly could have walked away with 9 points from these 3 draws, but equally could have walked away with 0. But they just questioning things, and I just sort of think, well, what are you expecting, and what are you watching the opposition? Because for me, as I said, they were makeshift as much as we were in defence, but they were all over the place. And if people got a problem with Norris, then I'm glad I got Norris over their goalkeeper. If you're basing it on one performance.
Yeah, I think maybe because we did so well last year, I think people's expectations are quite high. But I think you have to allow the fact that the players, a lot of them haven't played in the Championship, or if they have, they haven't for a good couple of seasons because they've been with us. So you've got to allow them time to kind of bed in and get used to the feel and the pace increase and the physicality increase. It's a completely different, almost a different game being in the Championship to League One. And the team, I don't understand it myself, but the team have shown us that they don't fold under pressure, and that they've got each other's back, and they will fight and they will go hard. Especially, you know, the defending against Middlesbrough was pretty decent considering we were under the cosh for a good, probably nearly 70 minutes, I suppose, by the time we scored and all the added time and stuff. So I don't understand why you wouldn't back the team and the players. They know what they're doing. We probably did better last season than we probably were meant to on paper, but that's because we've got a good group. Just because you don't necessarily need to go out and spend a lot of money on these big individuals, because that can harm the group. I think I said it last time. Sometimes having a better group core is really important, and you're more likely to get something out because they'll actually go and fight with for each other, and they will back each other. Like, if you go, I'll follow you, and that's what you need. And having someone like Pack as the captain and bringing the likes of Richie, yes, he might not play every game this season, but having that experience in the squad, they will help and guide someone like Paddy Lane, for example. Like, having Richie being able to kind of, Lane can work off him and learn of him. Do you think the career Richie's had, if he can give some pointers to Paddy Lane, who's still only, 21, 22? So he can help him, and having those kind of players around is a massive, massive difference to have. So I think you just back them. I don't think there's any need to. We're not going to win every game. We might have a bad day, but I think this team's shown us enough that we can back them, and if we do, I think we'll be all right.
Yeah, they've 100%, in my opinion, got credit in the bag, haven't they? You know, they got nothing to prove. They just need time, and also, as I said, the start has been incredibly hard. You know, we've gone from dominating games to not dominating games, and that's going to happen. It's going to be a while. I think we still got a few hard fixtures coming up before we find more of our level. So, you know, to be playing these teams who are above our level and competing, you know, is giving me, you know, I'm quite excited for the season. I'm quite excited with the transfers. I think Ian Dark said that he believes we're building something more mid-table, and I have to agree. You know, don't get me wrong, staying up is still the goal. We finish, you know, fourth bottom, I'll take it all day long, but I honestly think we're going to be nowhere near there.
Yeah, no, I think we'll be all right. Obviously, I think the next step for us is, like, obviously we've got our first goals, got our first points on the board. I think the next step for us now is to get those 3 points, and the earlier they come, the better, because you don't want that thing where, I mean, I can't remember how long was the run when we were in League Two. It was like 20 odd games we hadn't won. Not that I don't think that we would get to that point this season. But it's always good to get over these hurdles. And so far, we've got over a lot more hurdles than I thought we would have had at the start of the season. So, yeah, I think, as I said, boys are absolutely spot on for me. The players got plenty of money in the bank. And, yeah, I think they deserve, like, sort of a little bit of leeway every now and again, because they're gonna need it. I was just wondering, like, I was interested to get your guys' thoughts on when the team lineup was announced and there was no Shock Nessie, because obviously Twitter being, or X being what it is, you had a lot of very interesting comments and interesting thoughts. I was wondering how you guys felt when you actually saw that, especially that back four.
Well, I think I messaged you two and said we're going to lose 5-0, didn't I?
Yeah, you're one of them. That's it. I'm aiming at you.
That was tongue in cheek and joking, you know. I was, you know, there's going to be moments in every game you're telling me that, you know, two best centre backs in the world aren't going to get beaten now and again. I thought Williams and Taylor had a good game, but with Shot Nessie being announced, I was worried. I ain't going to lie. And then ordered what was he? He's supposed to be signing for Wigan. That was bizarre. I don't know what was more bizarre, him signing for Wigan or him walking around victorious with a massive strap on his knee and he's out for the season. Bullshit that we heard as well.
Yeah, the defence, it was a kind of, I think you see a couple of reports beforehand, don't you? So there's a couple of people that see the squad arrive and they say, "Oh, haven't seen Shock Nessie," and it makes you panic. But it showed that Towler is able to, I know going back to Towler, but it showed because when he was next to Shock Nessie, obviously Shock Nessie is the leader in that back four or between the two of them. But he was the only natural centre half this time, Towler. And I thought did very well and kind of stood up and showed a kind of leadership and say, no, I can help control this back four. So I was really impressed with that. I don't think there's anything wrong with it, particularly as Williams did much better at centre half against Middlesbrough than he did against Millwall. But the other two, Swanson is more than capable. He had a very good game at right back. He's very capable in the Championship, and so is Ogilvy. So it was only really the centre half problem. But I think obviously, reports tonight are showing that we're looking at resolving that, and it looks like we're getting that guy from Leicester on loan, which just resolves it for now and gives us an extra centre half, because you can't rush pull back. He's going to have been out for 10 months, and if there always is an increased chance of another ACL injury when you've had one before. So the last thing you want to do is go, yeah, come on, Regan, you can come back in now, and he does it again, and then you've completely screwed yourself and him. So I don't think you want to be seeing either him or McIntyre probably for another good month or two, probably end of November into December before they start coming back. And you don't want to rush them any time sooner. And if they say, boss, I'm not ready, you need that extra cover. So if we've got Towler, Nelson and Shaughnessy with the ability of Williams and Ogilvy, potentially if Farrell comes back, Ogilvy can move in on the left, then we've got the cover there. But just getting that extra out-and-out centre-half in will definitely benefit us.
Well, while we've been doing this, the club have dropped a video of Paul actually on the training pitch kicking a ball around. So that would feel like a new signing in itself.
Oh, that's lovely. I think it's not just him, but it's also McIntyre, isn't it? I think we need to get these lads back playing. I'm not sure what the deal is with McIntyre, but just a little bit of extra depth and a bit of cover is what we need. And as we said, there potentially could be a centre back coming in if you believe the reports. And yeah, I think we just need a settled kind of back four, even though how well our back four's been doing when it's been mixed and matched. But I mean, to really have a successful season, whether that's how you look at success, I look at it just staying up and see if we can get up towards mid-table. You do need a settled back line to be able to probably achieve that. One thing for me, which I really liked from the game, was a bit of a knock-on effect from the Luton game, which was, we spoke earlier about Sadie's, the ball that came across and he didn't finish it. He just sort of let it go. And I would like to think, especially, he's 22. I still can't believe he's 22. I'd like to think that he's, after that's happened, after the game, he's analysed that and looked at it and thought, you know what, next time a ball comes in like that, I'm going to take it on. I'm not going to be unselfish, because I think obviously him playing in the 10 role has probably got his mind into thinking that he needs to play someone else in. He needs to look after the ball, put someone else in for a strike on goal, and he hasn't really been selfish. So when that ball came across, especially that early in the game, I'd like to think that Sadie's thought, do you know what, this is mine. I'm having it. I don't know if what you guys thought about that, or whether do you think maybe it's just a coincidence, this is kind of a similar sort of ball that came in, or whether you think he's learned from the Luton game?
It's probably something that they work on in training. It's the kind of balls that we've seen Colby finish quite a lot. So it's obviously the style of play, and what Messino wants is that ball across the floor, whether it's a bit deeper like this one, it was kind of deeper into more around the penalty spot rather than across the goal line. But it's obviously something they work on, and it must have been something picked up in training when they've watched the game back from the Luton game. They've obviously said, look, Chris, when this comes in, you shoot, because if you don't shoot, you're not going to get anything. At least have a go. I mean, for me, the keeper should probably do better, because he basically, I think he nutmegged him, didn't he? So it was basically at the keeper, but he managed to get enough on it that the keeper wasn't able to react quick enough. So I think it must have been whether someone's picked it up for him or something he's noticed. I think it was definitely an improvement.
Hopefully someone just put sort of had a word in his ear and said, "Look, Nick, if that ever comes again, just hit it." Do you know what I mean? Like, we love Sadie's team play and his, how much, of a team player he is. But sometimes in football, you've just got to be greedy. And there was nothing, against Luton. He should have just whacked it one. I don't think no one would have questioned why. And he weren't going to make that same mistake twice. I'm just glad it come around quick enough for him that, and then he got his luck that his hard work deserves with the second goal.
Yeah, I absolutely agree with that. And yeah, as I said, you like to think maybe Messino, especially after the game, or one of the coaches might have said, "Look, next time that ball comes into you like that, you take the opportunity." And I don't really blame him for kind of that step over, because obviously what he's been playing in the 10. So I remember when he did step over the ball, I said to someone next to me, I went, "If that's Bishop or Yengi, they're taking it on, because they've got that natural number 9 instinct to want to finish, a bit of selfishness in them." And that'll come with Sadie if we continue putting him in that number 9 spot, and it'll be good for him, because he'll be able to play in both ends. So we won't just see him just as a 10, and he won't be trusted to be a 9. I think he's really starting to grow into the 9 as well as the 10. Does any of you guys want to bring up anything else from the Middlesbrough game, or are we happy to move on?
Again, only something little. I just want to say how well Dazelle played again. Again, no one seems to be talking about him, but I will bang on the door and sing his praises.
Yeah, I think the good thing is that obviously, I think, like, especially in that middle, pack takes a lot of the credit, doesn't he? But that is the thing about some centre mids; they can go under the radar and just do the little bits and bobs, and you don't really notice them. And I don't think that's a good or bad thing, really, to be honest. Like, as long as they sort of do what they need for the team, yeah, I think he's played well, and I think any of the players coming in, is going to be tough for them to take his spot. Harry, I don't know what you thought about that.
Yeah, I had it noticed down that he kind of impressed. Really, he was. I think I said it right at the beginning of the first episode that we did. I said that he would end up being just a solid 6 or 7 consistent performer, at 6 or 7 out of 10 consistent performer every single week. He won't do anything special, but he might not do anything awful. He's just there. He doesn't do anything kind of extravagant and go, "Oh wow, look at him." But without him, you will notice when he's not there. And I mean, he had that block, didn't he? When I don't know, might have been Lati Lath by that point still, touched it, and he just threw himself in the front of the ball, right in front of the goal, and it ended up going out for a corner. And I don't think without him throwing himself in front of there, he probably would have scored. But it'll be interesting to see with Freddie Potts coming in, because he is very much a player to play alongside Pack, similar to Dazelle. Whether Freddie Potts will come straight in, or whether Dazelle will still carry on, because I don't think he's done anything wrong to get dropped, but whether they think Freddie Potts is more suited already, it'll be interesting to see what happens on Saturday.
I thought the decision to take Dazelle off was a bit odd, unless he's still not match fit, because I don't think he would have made the same mistake Moxon did with the penalty. And I don't know. I just thought I like Moxon, but he's one of them ball in a china shop sort of players, and even against Luton, he put in about 3 or 4. He put in an amazing cross that Sorensen got his head on, and that could have gone in. He did some amazing passes, but then he also blasted the ball at players 5 yards away, which I just find baffling. I find him a weird player. I can't. Well, if he was 21, I would be like, "Whoa, what a player we got here!" He's just a bit raw, but I think he's about 25. Am I wrong? You sort of think all this should have been sorted by now.
I think so, but I think he's probably maybe in his head he's probably thinking maybe he'd be starting. So maybe he's similar to what Blair did. I mean, Blair came in and was probably too overexcited and a bit eager to impress. And once he kind of, how he stayed on the pitch, I don't know. But maybe Moxon is feeling similar. Maybe he's seeing, Kamara's come in, Dazelle's come in. Now Potts has come in. He's probably seen, I've got to show what I can do and remind the staff that I am here and my ability. So maybe he's just trying a bit too hard. And that's why, he gave the penalty away. I think it was a definite penalty. You can't argue against it, to be honest. But it was just a little lapse of concentration, and it wasn't needed. But I don't think Moxon will maybe now start he won't start many games. But again, he's a very good player to have on the bench to come on. And if you think our midfield now, we've got these players, like Kamara's here and Potts has come in. If you start Dazelle and Pack, and your bench is Kamara, Moxon, and Potts on the bench, that's a very strong midfield compared to the other game where we had Lowry, Stevenson, we had Devlin. Devlin's an interesting one. I'm still unsure what's going to happen with him, really. But, it's such an improvement, and having players back from injury as well, it made a real difference. That bench against Borough was so much better and looks so much stronger. Even just having a couple of names back makes a real difference.
Yeah, I think with Moxon, he can be not a liability. I don't think that's the right word, but I think he can sort of be caught out a little bit. I think what we have to remember about Moxon is that he's gone League Two, League One, Championship in the space of 3 seasons. So he's had to learn pretty quickly. And I think if we were in League One, if we were in League One this season again, I think you'd probably see him more improved. He's gone from League One now, where he was, I think towards the end of the season, he started looking a little bit better. But obviously then stepping into the Championship, it's like a whole another step, and he's got to kind of start again. Where you've got like I said, Dazelle, Pack, they've played at that level, or if not, they've played at League One for a little bit, same as like Paddy Lane and things like that. So I think Moxon is definitely going to probably need a little bit more time than most, but I think that's a good thing having Potts and now Kamara come in, where they can maybe take a bit of the weight off, especially against the sides, the big sides, who are going to be in around the playoffs. I think we just need to give Moxon a little bit of time, but I can see where where guys are coming from. Are we happy to move on to just have a little over the transfers, incoming, just a little chat? Because I know obviously we want to hold off on a more in-depth chat next week when it's more of the transfer special.
Yeah, just have a quick little glance over everyone. So, what we had in the last since we spoke, we've had quite a few incomings. Really, we've had Kamara, Blair, O'Mahony, Potts. I think that's it, is it?
I think Schmidt was on his way in, wasn't he? But I don't think he was actually confirmed by the time we did our space. So I think, mate, obviously Schmidt would be another one. I was quite interested to sort of get your guys' opinion. Is there any of those 5 that stand out that is your favourite? Is there one? And is there any of them that you would put into the starting lineup for Saturday?
Potts excites me simply because he won Wycombe's team of the player of the year, and to have a lone player win the actual main player of the year you must have had a good season. I know Wycombe aren't amazing, but I'm looking forward to seeing him. It would be good to see O'Mahony as well. I think just a different kind of striker again. He's good at physical, and his finish the other day for Brighton against Crawley was a good insight just to see. He managed to con the keeper thinking he was going far post, but then nipped it at the near post. I don't think there's anyone really else that kind of you think we really need, just apart from getting that centre half in. So once you get that centre back in, I think you're pretty much set.
Yeah, centre back. We've discussed it between us 3, and centre back is a must, an absolute must. It looks like it's Nelson. By the looks of it, I think trying to get the Australian in Matthews now would just leave it too late. but I reckon it's one we definitely will, look for maybe in January or even next season. I don't think that's the end of that one. Obviously, Milson would have been nice, but I just think there's too many clubs after him, and we have to accept our position that we're further down the pecking order.
Is there any out of those 5, Russ, that we've had come in that you think you'd be happy if they were in the starting lineup for Saturday?
Potts, yes. I am excited with Kamara, I ain't gonna lie. Whether I'd start him yet, no, is another thing. I don't think Schmidt starts over Norris yet. And I think goalkeeping, having 2 good goalies on your books, is always better. Competition for goalkeepers, I think, as soon as you see it in the past, even with Norris last season, when he kind of just had Schofield behind him, there was started to have a few, iffy moments from himself. As soon as we brought Macy in, no trouble. No surprise, as soon as we bring Schmidt in, he had one of the best games he's had, in my opinion, Norris. I thought he was unbelievable on Saturday. And nothing he could have done about the goal, and obviously nothing he could have done about the penalty. But yeah, I'd say Kamara and Potts excite me the most out of the new signings. The last 5, they're the ones I'll probably start.
Yeah, I'm going to make myself sound like an absolute idiot now. But when I heard we were linked with Potts, I was thinking, well, we've already had him in League Two. I thought we were absolutely wasting our time, and I only twigged that that's his brother. I didn't realise that this Potts lad, I can't remember his first name now, but it's actually Dan's Potts' brother, who was with us for about 4 or 5 games in League Two. So yeah, I felt like an absolute idiot when I actually realised it was his younger brother. But yeah, I mean, I think I'm on the same wavelength. I think out of those players, it would probably, if I had to pick, would be Potts starting, maybe ahead of Dizelle and things like that. But that's only if I had a gun to my head and I had to change it. It'd only be really the centre back bit at the moment where you kind of need to change it. And any player that comes in will probably come in and start. Whether he might want to still stick with Shaughnessy if he's back alongside Towler. So that'll be interesting to see what he decides to do, whether Shaughnessy's back or not. But yeah, obviously I know that we were talking maybe having a chat about Schmidt and Norris and sort of where we stand on that debate. And I think it'd be quite good to sort of maybe do that another time where Schmidt's been in the building a bit longer, because obviously I don't think he's even been on the bench. He wasn't on the bench for Middlesbrough, was he? Was it Jordan Archer?
No, Archer was still on the bench at that point.
Yeah, so that's interesting to see maybe whether he's not ready, or maybe, it might be a case where he's gone back home and he's just getting all his stuff together to come back. Because I don't think there's any rush to get him on the bench right now, because we do have Jordan Archer, which is ideal. Obviously, I'm a bit wary of time. Do we just want to pop onto the Sunderland preview and prediction? Does anyone want to go ahead for that? Harry, do you want to go first for that?
Yeah, I think before the season started, we would have probably seen Sunderland at home as probably one of the easier, in quotation marks, easier games out of the first 7 that we have. But the fact that they're top of the league, 3 wins, no goals conceded, made pretty light work of Burnley, and it's not going to be easy. The only kind of saving grace is, I think, that they've always struggled against us at Fratton Park. They've not, I think they were on a good run last time, and then we ended up beating them 4-0. And I know that was we were just playing in a lake effectively, but we managed to. They were on good form, and we'd only won, I think, 2 in about 10 games at that point, and we managed to win 4-0. So I think it'll be a close game. I'll hold off for my prediction until you guys have had your say. It's not going to be easy, but they seem to lack a natural goal scorer, and now they've lost Jack Clark as well. I think that's a big blow for them.
Russ, do you want to give us your thoughts on that?
I fancy us against Sunderland at home. I think we've done more than enough to show in the previous games. I think we got some new players in. I think I was going to bring up about Jack Clark. I think that's a massive loss for them. I'll give my prediction now of I think 2-1 win. I think there'll be goals. I think we get the win. I haven't decided on my goal scorer yet, so I'll come back to that in a bit. But I'm definitely going for a 2-1 win.
Yeah, I listened to, I don't know if you guys heard of it, the Roker Report, which is quite a big podcast for the Sunderland lot, and also listened to the PO forecast earlier when they had a Sunderland lad on. And it kind of sounds like they've played like similar standard to us, especially they also have quite a lot of energy, young energy in that centre mid. Obviously, you've got the second Bellingham in there. But I think for them, the reason I'm actually a bit more confident that I think we're going to win, and obviously this is going to go in a prediction, is that they're missing Dan Neil, who's suspended. And I think, judging from what they were saying as well, that he's sort of a big character in there for him, very good player. They don't seem to be worried about losing Jack Clark, which I was quite interested to hear because obviously Jack Clark's a great player. I think they feel they've got replacements that come in and at least like sort of do a job at least until the end of the window anyway. But yeah, same as Harry. When those fixtures came out, the first four before the international break, Sunderland was the one. It's not like, oh yeah, we're going to beat them, but that was the one. If I had to pick, we were going to win, it was going to be that one. So like for my prediction, I'm going to stick with that. I'm going to go with a Pompey win, and I'm actually going to go 2-0. I don't know why. I just feel we've got a clean sheet in us. And I think one of the scorers for me is going to be Lang. So Harry, do you want to give us your prediction?
Yeah, so I'm going to go for a 1-1. We've had a 2-2, we've had a 0-0, we've had a 3-3. We might as well go for 1-1. And I'm actually going to go for Freddie Potts to score on his debut, whether it's off the bench or starting. Why not? A nice 30-yard thunderbolt or something would be nice. Please, Freddie.
I'm going to go my goal scorer. I'm going to go for Sadie again.
Lovely stuff. Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, my head does say draw, but that's because obviously we're so used to draws at the moment. And again, it's one of those games we'd be like, I'll take a draw. But for you guys, when do we stop thinking, oh, I'll take a draw, and like one of these results maybe has to turn into a win?
Yeah, because you take the first three games, so you say, oh yeah, we'll take a draw, but you're right. How long do you say we'll take a draw? Because all of these games are going to be tough until we play the likes of Oxford and Derby that have come up with us. They're supposedly easier, and you might go into them and think, yeah, that's a win. We can win that. But the games the teams that are already in the championship, we can't say, oh, we'll take a draw against every single one. So you want to, even I know I've gone for a draw and I'm then saying this, so I'm kind of contradicting myself massively. But you don't want to, although it's great being unbeaten, you don't want, if we were to go unbeaten for the next 5-6 games as well, you want to get a win in there. You don't want to just draw every single game. Just get that first win under your belt and then kick on from there. Whether you then go and lose 3 in a row or you go and win 2 in a row or something, you don't want to wait too long for that first win.
I think context is key, though, isn't it? Like I said earlier with the Luton, I came away, I didn't know how I felt. I didn't know if I was happy. I didn't know if I was annoyed. I didn't have I couldn't work out probably till the next day. Actually, yeah, all right, it was a good point. Whereas Middlesbrough, even though I was disappointed to concede late on, the amount of chances they had, it was a good point. If we get battered by Sunderland and got another draw, you would say a good point. But I honestly think this is the time to stop that. If we were playing away at Sunderland, you take a draw anyone away from home, in my opinion, in whatever league. But you always take a win at home now. We've settled in I know they're playing well, Sunderland. I know they're top of the league, but I fancy us at home. Be a good atmosphere. They bring a lot down. I just hope they don't swap ends and we get that fire in our bellies in that second half, if need be, and hopefully get the job done.
Yeah, something I was thinking of, obviously, with that, we'll just take a draw, Obviously, with the 2 away games, obviously, when we've conceded right at the end in the last bit of the game, I think I was thinking about it today. I think if we're 2-1 up or 1-0 up, like this is a big if, by the way, I think we're going to need that Oxford at home atmosphere because that was non-stop noise. I think if we're in that position, I think the whole of Fratton has to get behind the side, really create that atmosphere that we created against Oxford. Because no matter if a player will admit to it or fans will admit to it, when you concede, when you're doing the same thing over again, like conceding late when you probably should be holding on, that will play in the back of your mind. You think, all right, we're 2-1 up, but I mean, we conceded late in the last other 2 games. Like, is it going to happen now? A lot of like nerves and stuff like that. I think what's really important for the fan base is that we get behind the team all the way into the end. And even if there's a mistake at 2-1, like the atmosphere keeps going. I think for us, I think it's really important if we are in that position on Saturday, is that we have everyone behind us and we create that Oxford at home atmosphere. Because I thought that was like up there with Wigan at home and we obviously beat them 2-1. So I don't know if you guys think similar to that regarding the atmosphere.
Yeah, sorry, I was waiting for Russ to go, and I think he was waiting for me.
I should have
said. No, I think, as we said earlier, the team has shown what they've got, and last year they showed the desire and the belief that they've got within themselves, and that we should have that with them too. And we shouldn't forget what they did last year, and we need to be backing them. It's not like when Cowley was here and we, what was it, two wins in 17 and stuff. We've seen a lot more good than bad under John Messino and Rich Hughes and co, and they've got the credit in the bank to keep it going, and they deserve our support. Whether if Sunderland turn up and they're 3-0 up in half an hour, yes, it'll be not good, but it could just be a one-off, and you keep backing them. There's no reason to go against them or anything, and we know what a difference we can make. Like you said, right, Daz, that game against Oxford, having the crowd lift for that last 10 minutes. If we stayed silent or if we started groaning when we lost the ball of a pass or something, we would have we wouldn't have won that game. We can make Fratton Park back into a fortress, and we'll make it hard for other teams to come. And as long as you do that, it will help us. We make a massive difference to the players, but I think people forget how loud and intimidating it can be, not even just for the away team, for our team. When the frustration kicks in and the groans get louder each misplaced pass, or when the attack dies, the groans will get louder and the players will go into their shell. And it makes such a difference. So the longer we can stay behind them, there's no need to turn, and we stick with them, and us fans make a massive difference.
Russ, you got any thoughts on there before we wrap up?
No, pretty much exactly the same. As I said, just hopefully we don't swap sides. I think the atmosphere will be fire. I'm looking forward to it. It should be a good game. Good atmosphere. And as I said, hopefully get the job done. Get it done.
Yeah, lovely. I don't know if, obviously, because I'm just wary of time now, because obviously it's 20 past 9, so we can go for like an hour and 20. Is there any other business, or if you guys happy to like leave it there for now? It's up to you. If there's anything you guys want to else talk about?
Nothing else for me. I'm happy to leave it there.
No, I was kind of hoping we had some sort of announcement of, or some idea of maybe we were going for tomorrow, but it's, other than maybe a little bit heading towards the Nelson side, although I have seen, just having a quick look around, that Hull have improved another bid for Kamara. And I just want to say, I do think the Oxford link is bollocks. I honestly think it's one of them situations where, do you know when you're not going to get a player, but you're going to put, oh yeah, we're going to put a bid in because you're not going to get them, just so it sounds good. It's the same with the. Are they going to get that Galatasaray striker or Fenerbahce striker, that Yilmaz, or whatever his name
Yeah, it
is?
was Galatasaray
that's
for
not
5 million, wasn't it? 5 million.
That's
Like that,
not
so.
happening. Surely not.
Yeah, so I just sort of think like they're from their end, they're just trying to make noises, and I think that Bele's a good signing from today. I still think that I don't think they get relegated. I think they have a good season. But I do think they're trying to put a bit of PR on themselves.
Well, before we finish, Andy Moons just tweeted saying, "From what I'm hearing, George Edmondson is significantly more go to bed than don't go to bed." So it sounds like Edmondson is a no-go.
Yeah, once we saw how many teams and what teams were after him, I just thought, that's not going to happen. And he just want to come here, clearly, because it's about the 15th time we've been linked with him. I do think it'd be Nelson, personally.
Yeah, I'm happy with Nelson. I don't know loads about him, but I think were we going after him at some point, like in the past? And a lot of people, like you had people saying that obviously he's a up and coming player at Leicester and that he's really well regarded. And he's played a decent amount of games because I think he was at loan at Rochdale and someone else before that or after that. So I've heard good things about him. I'm not going to sit here and tell I know this and that about him, but I mean, for the players we've got coming back like McIntyre and Regan Paul, any player that's coming in will probably know that. So you don't like George Edmondson. Is he going to be happy coming in and thinking, "Oh, I might be at the side when Regan Paul and McIntyre come back," because obviously we've paid money for those boys and they're our players. So the only way players like McIntyre and Regan Paul are going to get to match fitness is playing games. So that would probably maybe put like Edmondson or Nelson if he comes in, probably down the pecking order.
Yeah, I think we have to cover ourselves. So I had a bit of a discussion with Sonny, does Sun Stats. He wants Towler to go out on loan for Towler. And it's like, yeah, but you got to look at it from the club's point of view of, you let Towler go out on loan, you get an injury or suspension, Paul's not quite ready, McIntyre's still out, you're shooting yourself in the foot. You have to put the club before the player. Yet in an ideal situation, Paul's fit, we're bringing another centre back, Towler goes out on loan in League One and gets a whole season under his belt. But Paul, we can't trust, in my opinion, till we've seen them before. They come back, they get injured again. You've got to treat him right, wrap him up and cut him wall, and hopefully, he gets a few games in here and there. And from January onwards, he can then be in the team and stay in the team.
Yeah, that was my thoughts. I thought after the new year is probably when we're going to really see him. Hopefully he'll in maybe October, November, he'll start coming in and maybe making a few sub appearances. And funny enough, this is actually when the Johnson paint could have come into a bit of handy, where players like that can play some competitive games, coming back from injury and that. But I'm guessing we can maybe get some behind the closed door friendlies and stuff like that for getting these players back, like McIntyre and Regan Paul. But yeah, I totally agree with the Towler shout. So, boys, are we happy to wrap it up there and look forward to tomorrow and hopefully a couple of incomings? It looks like Nelson, as we said, and then also Jed Wallace getting through the door.
Yeah, that's a sore subject. Don't bring that
up. Behave.
Yeah, we can all dream, but yeah, cool. If we're happy to wrap it up, I think that was a really good chat. We'll be doing, well, I won't be on it, but if any of you guys listening want to tune in next week, we'll be doing a transfer special. And so Harry and
we have
Harry.
a really nice special guest and all.
Yeah, which I'm like quite thinking about because obviously I'm away celebrating my birthday, but so I'll try and call in and see if I can get a happy birthday out of them.
Yeah, so we'll just be going over the incomings, the outgoings, just having a little chat more in depth than tonight, and we'll just see what happens. Any extras from tomorrow that come in, and we'll try and give some kind of rating because now once the window's shut, you can really kind of have a look at the window and see what's happened really. So yeah, join us next Thursday at 8 o'clock as normal.
Lovely. All right then, guys. Well, all of you guys that are listening, thank you for popping in and having a listen to us. We'll see you in about.
Cheers. Thanks.
Cheers,
Cheers.
guys.
Take care.
Bye.
Bye.